السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال الله تعالى: ولما سكت عن موسى الغضب أخذ الألواح وفي نسختها هدى ورحمة للذين هم لربهم يرهبون. أما بعد. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most magnificent, most beneficent, most merciful. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all his ni'mah and favors that he has bestowed upon us. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the divine guidance, the tawfiq and the life to be present in this gathering today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse, it says that walamma sakata. Sakata, what does sakat mean in the Arabic language? Quiet. Or what else does it mean? Rest. Or when something calms down. So when something, we use the word calm down, that means the opposite of calm down is elevated. Yes or no? Right? So when a person becomes angry, his anger rises or his anger comes down? Anger rises, right? And because anger rises, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used the word sakat when he calmed down. So that means there's a rise. What element in the human body rises? Huh? Water rises. Blood rises. But blood is not the element. Fire. Fire rises, right? And a human being's body is comprised of these elements, right? So the element inside that is being triggered is the trigger of fire, and fire rises, right? And what comes down the fire? Water. And that element is also inside of you. Yes or no? That means that as you have the ability to rise, you also have the ability to come down. You get it? It's not out of your capability. It's not out of your grasp. The strength is already inside. All you have to do is be patient to trigger it. In order to trigger the water to calm down the fire, is for you to be patient. As you're patient, it will calm it down. Or you focus somewhere else, or you remove yourself from that gathering. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَمَّا سَكَتَ عَن مُوسَى الْغَضَبِ. When the anger subsided from Musa alayhi salam. The ghadab here is fa'il. Fa'il means that it has a dhamma on it. I know I'm going into technicalities here. But Faydan, because it had a dhamma on it, what does that mean? And there is preceded with a verb. Right? A verb needs a fa'il and a maf'ul, yes? So when the anger subsided, so that means did something subside? The anger subsided. Who did the subsiding? The anger. What does that tell you? That a bit of self-control automatically will trigger the anger to subside. You understand? وَلَمَّا سَكَتَ عَن مُوسَى الْغَضَبُ أَخَذَ الْأَلْوَاحَ. And then he took the scrolls that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given to him, and the Torah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given to him. And he took those scrolls and وَفِي نُسْخَتِهَا هُدًى. And in the writings of the scrolls, there was guidance. There is this misconception that when Musa alayhi salam came down from the mountain, and when he saw the state of his people, he threw down the scrolls and he broke them. That's not a Muslim aqidah, that is the Jewish aqidah. It is not a Muslim belief, that is a Jewish belief that he broke the scrolls. Musa alayhi salam's anger would never have been directed towards the scrolls, that he threw the scrolls that was divinely given to him after so much effort, right? When he put them down and he set them aside, says, and then when the anger subsided, he took the scrolls and he, in which there was guidance and mercy for the people. So the topic under discussion is anger, and it's been under discussion for, I think, 2 weeks now. MashaAllah. So the questioner questions, and he writes a question, and he says, because I have certain diseases inside of me, because I have 3 things that I can highlight, and I need the remedy for each one of them. Number 1, because I have a poor memory. I can't remember anything. I have a poor memory. Number 2, in my temperament, I have a very fiery temper. I get angry very, very quickly. And I get angry a lot. A lot. By the way, there is no negativity if a person gets angry quickly or angry after a while. Anger is anger, but it's what you do with it at the moment that defines if you have self-control or not. And to control that is a lifetime of effort. It's a lifetime of effort that a person makes upon himself to actually control his impulses, emotions, and when they are at its peak, and when they are rising, and when they are firing on all cylinders, is when he is able to gain some control over them. Because thirdly, I'm very hasty in things. I'm a hasty guy. I'm a hasty person. So these are the 3 things that I have inside of me. Please prescribe a remedy. Because number 1, you need to go to a doctor. For number 1, for your memory loss, go to a doctor. It's a physical disease. Now, maybe it seems that the sheikh knows the person, and maybe there was not something that could have been prescribed to him spiritually at that time. So, the sheikh says to him, you need to go to a doctor and go and discuss with a doctor in regards to your memory loss. Maybe he can provide you something. Maybe you have a problem in your gut. You know that, right? If you have a problem here, you can also have a problem there, right? It could be physical. Number 2, because look, as far as getting angry and your temperament being fiery, if it's not exceeding the bounds of Sharia, then there's no problem. A person could have a fiery temper. Umar radiallahu anh was famous for it. But as long as it doesn't exceed the limits, then you're good. And if it doesn't exceed the limits of Sharia, then there is also no need for a solution for it. There's no need to remedy something that's already contained. But again, if you think that your anger is pushes you beyond the limit, now majority of the time, does anger push us beyond the limit? Yes. Sometimes or all the time? Who wins against the anger? This question is for people at home too. Who wins against the anger? Mara, do you win against your anger, or is it a loss and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose? Win and loss. All right. Who agrees on the win and loss? Who agrees on the win-win? Who agrees on the loss-loss? What about you, Sam? Win and loss. How about you, Hamid bhai? Win-win. Years of practice has taught you. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you more control over yourself. It takes a lot to control. Anwar bhai, even though I know your temperaments, by the way. Huh?
Same here.
Win-win. Wow, wow. I must actually, if those two are winning, that means the counterpart has to be asked as to why are they winning?
You can check.
The counterpart there must be something good happening on the other side. That's why they're winning. Or they said that these battles I can never win. So I'll just like forget about it. This is the time you zip. See, I asked the adult first because it's going to take all of us, all of these years of experience to get to that point. You get it? We all have to get to a point where we're win-win, right? But it's going to take a lot of wisdom and experience and a lot of lost battles to get to that point. Wow. Because a moment of silence repels 1,000 difficulties or calamities. That's what he said. In the moment. Take that from a wise man. How old are you, Hazrat?
Me?
Yeah. It's okay. You're about 62 or something.
Me?
Yeah.
75 plus.
75 plus. MashaAllah. Allah give barakah in your life. But you were a young man when I came to this community. You had...
You've been long time.
So only 2 people have answered from the house. I want everybody to answer. All right. So anyway, because if your anger is contained, then fine. If your anger is not contained, because you have no solution but to bear it. Be patient on it. And if you do not use your patience against it, it can never succeed. You have to be brave. You have to want to do something about it. Who thinks that their anger needs to be tapered? 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people.
I think it depends on the situation, right? Like, if you're angry too much, then the effect isn't there.
But that's not the question. The question is, who thinks that they need to taper their question? They need to taper the anger.
You mean in general?
I was They need to temper it down and always be there until we eventually achieve that win-win, platform. But in other words, the need for me to control my anger, it's a progression, it's a work in progress. The more I attempt to control it, the more I will suppress the anger.
Correct.
But then if I spend more time in attempting to suppress my anger, than say Abu Hamza, then my capability of sustained capability of controlling that anger will probably be on a higher level than that of Abu Hamza. But we are still trying to control the anger. It's only that my level is a little bit higher. But I still haven't attained that win-win yet.
Do you know, do children have anger? Isa,
Yes, yes.
let a child answer that. Isa, do children have anger? Huh? And how does a child express his anger? There's 3 children here. There's 3 young men here. Huh. Last time I came to your house, not Isa's house, your house, you had these huge computers in COVID, like they're like gaming computers. So when you lose at a game, what's your frustration level? Tantrums?
Keyboards.
Keyboard. You smashed the keyboard. MashaAllah. What do you think? You're a young man. How a young man expresses his anger and how a wise man expresses his anger, is it going to be the same?
No.
No. Isa probably, when he expresses his anger, he will probably say, can I talk on behalf of you or shall I not talk on behalf of you? I can. He can probably say, I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to do this, or etc., etc., etc. Right, Isa? And what happens when a father gets angry on the child? What does the father say to him? You better do it. Actually, a child's anger needs to be kept in check. A child's anger needs to be kept in check. If you don't keep it in check, it will go beyond the limits. The husband anger, the wife keeps in check. And the wife's anger, I don't know who does she? I let the wise people answer that. Who keeps that in check?
You already gave the answer.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Everything will be all right. I will hear.
What is the one of the hadiths that if you're anger, you're standing, you sit down?
Yes, I mentioned that the other day. Yes, I mentioned, I'm going to come to that. So anyway, because when a person becomes angry and upon whom you have become angry, it is best to move away from the situation. But I gave you a condition last week. What was the condition? Well, the week before. As long as the person that you are angry at is not your hierarchy, meaning it's not your parent, you don't move away from your parent, and it's not your teacher. These two, or they're not above you. If they're same rank as you, then okay. But you don't move away from them. Because that's going to flare up their anger. Remember, it's going to flare up their anger. And that little control that they had is going to be unleashed.
Do we have zikr, our dua? We can say it like when you get anger
Yes.
to avoid.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. You can say that. I'm going to come to it, inshallah. I'm coming. Number 2, and this one, I told you that this is the biggest solution. When a person becomes angry, he loses himself, and behind that anger is his arrogance and pride. Now, the only thing that can deflate your arrogance and pride is to think about your faults. Think about your deficiencies. The moment you put your eye on your deficiencies, like you'll say, man, the person in front is still better than me. You get it? Because your arrogance will never allow you to get to that point. Your arrogance is at the moment is feeding your anger, and it's so fierce that it won't allow you to think about. But you have to consciously train yourself that the other person is better than me. Across the board. And sometimes you have to believe it. You have to believe it also that the other person is better than you. Then it will subside. Because immediately think that, are you in need of Allah's forgiveness on the day of judgment? Yes or no? then in the same way you are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness, then you should also try to forgive the person who has transgressed before you, so that you can also be entitled to Allah subhanahu. Have mercy upon the person in front of you, Allah will have mercy upon you. But there's a limit. The limit is when the Islamic rules have not been broken. If Islamic rules and etiquette have been broken, then reprimanding is the right thing, and then to take no further action after that is the right thing to do. Understand?
On this note, Yashik, so like you said, if the hududullah has clearly been transgressed, then there is the need to, like you said, to chastise the person, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, after the chastisement, is that the end of the story, or is there supposed to be an amal on his side, or on the side of the person who committed the transgression?
Of course, that there's islah, meaning that you did this wrong. This is the right. I expect that this action will not be repeated again, and you reprimand the person, and then you back off in as far as the punishment is concerned.
Yes, yes. My question is, which I'm trying to understand is, when the person commits the offense, which clearly has gone overboard, and you chastise him, if chastisement isn't enough, but there's supposed to be some kind of an action.
You can take an action.
Not on his part, to show that he has taken the corrective action. Let me use the word corrective action.
So those corrective actions need to be taken.
Now,
Yes.
now,
If that means that he needs to or she needs to ask forgiveness from a third party, then so be it.
So is it okay for the chastiser to wait or to observe the corrective action first before he can finally reach the conclusion? Alhamdulillah, he has.
See, it's something to do with your own heart. You became angry at the person because he broke the law. You chastised him. You said you gave corrective measures, and you also told him. But it's your own anger inside. You don't have to let the other person know that your anger is now completely subsided and you completely controlled it, and you're using patience against it. And you don't have to let the other person know. The other person can still feel that this person's upset. You understand? The other person doesn't need to know. There is even some ulama have written that if a person becomes angry at somebody and it's something like worldly related, it's not something important, but words need to be said afterwards. He goes, let your anger subside and come back to it a couple of days later, saying, listen, you said this the other day. I didn't say anything, but it was incorrect. You get it? You can always address it later when you're not angry, when you're not so frustrated. Otherwise, sometimes when you try to address something at the heat of the moment, you might lose the battle anyway. One second. Otherwise, because we're live, sometimes the people at home cannot listen to the question, but as long as they can hear the question, it's fine. Says that repeat A'udhu Billah, repeat it over and over again. A'udhu Billahi minash shaitanir rajim. A'udhu Billahi minash shaitanir rajim. And then also look at the end result of your anger. Because immediately also think that if I lose my temper here now, there's a possibility this thing is going to get here. It's not to my benefit to become angry at this moment in time. If I do, the result will be very bad. You understand? And a person can actively think that. Is frustration also anger? Yes or no? Is it fueled by your anger? Is agitation fueled by anger? Irritation fueled by anger? It just like, is all of these things are going to open that door of anger, right? So just be mindful that, you know, somebody might be like, a person could be frustrated at something. A person like, I remember this person, I just could not figure out why he did that. I was observing him, and he was trying to fix something in his vehicle. And that bolt would not open. And he tried different ways. And he, like, after a couple of hours, he got so angry. He beat the car up. He smashed his car up, the whole fender. And that's me thinking, why would you do that? Right? Why would you like smash your own car up? Like, you can't do it. It's okay, you can't do it, right? Let's just figure something else out. But sometimes, you know, are you one of those people? Like you're trying to figure something out. Eventually you can't figure it out, throw it away. Who's one of those people? One person. You like that? What is that?
I'm angry at myself and other people.
Yeah, but when you get angry, but you're harming yourself too. You just broken something.
Times. If no one is around, I'm free.
Are there holes in your house, in the wall?
No,
Ah.
not that.
Okay. You're like that. But is it like more work related, or is it study related, or what is it related to? Or is it game related?
When someone is mad at me, I get mad at me too.
And then you just, when somebody's mad at you, you get mad at yourself. Good though. That's not a bad thing, but just don't break things. Being mad at yourself because a third party is upset with you is a good thing, but you don't have to break things. But you know what? When you eventually buy something with your own money, sweat and blood and labor, maybe you'll act differently. At the moment, it's dad's things. Money given to you for free. Trust me, I have noticed a change, right? A child, you give him something, he doesn't care. He buys, when he grows older, he works, sweat, labor, and then he buys something. Oh, mashallah, I bought this. Look at how nice it is, even though it might be something okay, right? But, oh, mashallah, and he looks after it. And there's you wondering, man, he never looked after my things like that. Khair. If a person looks into the end results, but actually, let me finish that. Who else is like that? Who breaks things? You do?
It could get there, right?
It should not get there.
One time I break something, but it's already broken.
That's your tawajjuh that broke it, man.
I was trying to take my instrument lost off my vehicle.
Mhm.
It was stuck. I can't get it out. As soon as I pulled, the phone went so fast, it cracked the glass. Cracked altogether.
If you ever open a mechanic shop, remind me not to come to your shop.
I did that for 30 years.
30 years to people's cars. SubhanAllah.
Not break them.
You need a lot of patience. When you're fixing things, you need a lot of patience.
That's why.
Listen, how long does it take to break things? How long does it take to make things, Isa? How long do you think it takes to make somebody, Isa? Something. Huh? A long time. How long do you think the parents work on a child to make that child into a successful person? How long? A long time. How long does it take for it to break, guys. You know, one wrong company, that child goes into the wrong company once, it could destroy a lifetime of effort. You have to be dead careful, super careful. Allah protect everybody. inshallah. Anyway, he goes, listen, but I'll give you another solution. I advise you to take some time out of your precious time and spend some time with me. The Shaykh says to him at the end, take some time out of your precious time and spend some time with me. Inshallah, it will also help you in your endeavor to work out your problems. This is a long question, but I started. It goes in my because I get angry a lot, and I just feel that I'm just helpless before my anger. Who's here helpless before the anger? Man, if I get angry, that's it. Who's helpless? Nobody? Oh, that's good. Subhanallah. MashaAllah. Because I try a lot that I do not become angry at all. But when I get angry, it is as if like a veil comes over my eyes and I cannot see anything. It's just like a red veil comes over my eyes. Because after it subsides, I feel bad. I feel in my heart. And sometimes the effect of that one moment of anger stays with me for 3 to 4 days. Just because I got out of my comfort level, right? Sometimes upon whom I get angry, I go and seek their forgiveness. But I don't even know that will the person and sometimes and they do forgive me, but I'm not sure that have they truly forgiven me from their heart or not. Answer. Because a person needs to show some kind of courage and bravery at the time of anger. And he goes, if the person that you are becoming angry at is lower than you, lower in rank than you, ask the person to remove himself from your gathering for that moment. And he goes, if you still go beyond the limits, then the solution that you have incorporated above, that you have mentioned, that I feel bad in my heart, I feel remorse in my heart, and I also seek forgiveness from the person upon whom I let lose my anger, because that is also one of the solutions that you can incorporate. But it goes at the same time, when you seek another person's forgiveness and the person says that I forgive you, then do not dwindle on that thought that did that person forgive you from his heart or not. They've told you forgive you, khalas. Now, did he forgive you from his heart? Did he not forgive you from his... Don't try to think about that. As long as the person, we are responsible for the verbal affirmation of something, right? Somebody says, La ilaha illallah. Now, you're going to say, well, are you saying that with your heart, brother? I don't know, but you're saying it with your tongue, but I need to see, I need to, like, are you saying it? Are we responsible for that? Are we responsible for that? Or are we responsible to hear the verbal affirmation? But what is in his heart is between him and Allah, right? So If he didn't forgive, that is between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will say to him, well, there was a verbal confirmation of your forgiveness and it was written down by the angels and the angels were witness to that forgiveness, so the person's forgiven. Khalas. Ji.
So if you ask the forgiveness from the other person and the person said that he or she did not forgive you.
Okay. If that's you have done your due diligence. You go up to a person and says, listen, the other day I became angry on you and I seek your pardon. And the other person says, really? It's about time you sought my pardon. I'm not forgiving you. Let it be. No problem. He says, no problem. It was my duty to come and present my pardon. It is your to accept or not to accept is your that's up to you, right? Now, maybe this person in his verbally might not accept, but in his heart he might. You understand? At a later date, he might just accept it. Or maybe he says, well, I'll accept your pardon, but you need to fix everything that you broke first. It's contingent upon what you unleashed. Clear this mess up. Look at the mess that you created, clear the mess up and it's forgiven. You clear the mess up. You understand? There's a person, he's not listening to me, he's not in this gathering, but I hope he's listening to me, that if he gets angry, he just punches the wall and his fist goes through the wall. So you probably find in his bathroom holes, because every time he becomes angry, he can't do anything about it. He punches his own walls out.
I'm pretty sure I knew.
Is there anybody here that does that? Punch their own walls out?
Pretty sure I knew where the 2x4s are.
But you have to know where the 2x4 is, otherwise you'll break your knuckles. You first test it. It seems good. But in that moment of anger, who sees the 2x4s? A collapsed knuckle. Yeah, but no, he wouldn't try it back home. He knows that his fist is going to go through here. Back home, it's all solid cement. You're going to break your knuckles.
So in that case, you said that until the verbal verification is not obtained, then what is the situation?
So you are not responsible to obtain a verbal confirmation of forgiveness. Your duty is to pardon. Your duty is to pardon. And now I can't see him. So listen, guys, the way you sit is you sit in such a way that I can see everybody, right? So we are not responsible for the verbal pardon. Our responsibility for the other person's acknowledgement of that pardon. We are responsible to verbally say, I'm sorry. If a person forgives you or not, that's not a problem. Okay?
So if that mistake is repeated again, and then you went back and said sorry again, then
every time you make the mistake, you go back and seek the pardon. Eventually, your own nafs will say, how many times you're going to go to this person, man? Have some shame. You understand? So when you, eventually, you will fix yourself. Eventually, you will fix yourself. Yes. Today, Salat time has changed. Yeah, so we have to start Muraqabah soon.
Think about the last thing that you said. So a person offends you, and then he comes and says he seeks forgiveness from you. So you verbally granted the forgiveness. However, you notice his action. And they say action speaks louder than words, right? But his actions are still not. Therefore, you decided to kind of back off a little bit. And then he comes and says,
take the high road, brother Isa.
okay.
You seek forgiveness from somebody.
No.
The person says, I forgive you. Then the person still backbiting you. He's still saying bad things about you. Now you think, man, I want to take my forgiveness back. Take the high road.
No, not that one.
Not that one. Then give me an example.
What here? Persons A offends persons B, and A comes to B and says, "Forgive me."
So far, so good.
B says, "I forgive you."
So far, so good.
But then he noticed that A is not offending him, but he's offending C and D on the same manner he offended him. So instead of going closer to embarrassing, he kind of back off a little bit. And then A comes back and says to B, "You're not even, huggy with me no more. Why are you sure you forgive me?" You say, "No, I forgive you." But he's saying that, in other words, what I'm saying, is it okay to forgive somebody? At the same time, you take precaution?
It depends on the situation, Marisa. On a default state, I would say that you should forgive somebody. And even if their actions are not according to do not act according to their forgiveness, you still forgive them. Now, if they're still harming other people, you can see that, okay, that person stopped with you, but they're doing it with another. If you are in a position to rectify him, then it's okay for you to be still upset. But if you're not in a position to rectify him, then what benefit your being upset will be? You understand? So if you are in a position, if you have some kind of authority over him, that you can actually stop him from saying, "Listen, not just you need to stop with me, I need you to stop doing it with others too." Then, if you have that kind of authority, then fine. But if you don't, then as long as he's okay with you, then that should be the end of that. You shouldn't be upset with him because of what he's doing with others, just because it's in your knowledge. Because if it was in your power to rectify, you can rectify it. If it's not in your power to rectify, then you can't. Right? Okay. Because I'm gonna present the next question to you, but the answer I'm probably not gonna have time. Because I have had my ma'mulat, the routines that you had asked me to do, I am unable to do them because of sin. Now I'm getting some kind of consistency in my routine, in the salat, and everything. Because I am indulged in many different forms of sin. But I feel that the root of it is two things. Because sometimes I'm able to stay away from these sins for 2 or 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and then I relapse. I seek forgiveness and I relapse. I keep relapsing. Because my first sickness that I have is I have anger. I have anger issues. And this it gets me into all sorts of trouble. Some people are just angry people, it gets them into all sorts of trouble. Because there is no time for me to get angry. It could be any time, any moment. And at that time, I do not look at what's right and what's wrong. I am unable to distinguish what's right and what's wrong. That's how angry I become. Until I get to a point when my anger subsides and then I come to my senses. Because then I have to go about seeking forgiveness from all those people that I got angry on during my episode of anger, that burst of anger that I had. Do you know anybody like that? That once they get angry, they do not know who's in front of them, older, younger, they'll just... Who can relate? Who knows somebody like that? You're one of them. At least you admit it, Habibi. Habibi, you at least admit it. A person who admits it eventually will fix it. Remember that. A person who can't admit it will never fix it. Used to be like, so he fixed it. He said he used to be like that, but I've seen him getting angry on his brothers. I've seen him. Wasn't. You're going to say something.
And I ask on behalf of all the married people, please.
You're going to ask on behalf of all the married people. Okay.
This is what make me mad more than anything.
Make your temperature go from 0 to 100.
Yes, me and my wife. Right, for example, I say something she doesn't like.
You say something she doesn't like, but
Yes.
isn't that always?
Then after I say something she doesn't like, I say, wow, I said the wrong thing. And I said, please forgive me, right? He came out the wrong way.
So
She said, "I forgive
because
you."
remember, people are at home that I have to translate.
Yeah, he said, I forgive you, right? But then when the next episode comes up,
She brings it up
she
again.
brings it up again.
Oh,
That
that's-
makes me mad. That just run away out of the house.
Oh, that was a simple thing. Oh my God, subhanallah. He goes, he has an altercation with his spouse. He says something and then he says, listen, sorry, I said it wrong. It came out wrong from my mouth and I seek your forgiveness, pardon. She forgives him. And then later on, when they have a fight again, she brings that same thing up again. So that's normal.
That's natural.
That's natural. What's the big deal?
No, now you can feel real.
That's
So then
I mean, I don't know what the big deal is there.
That's why she's your wife.
Now, then I say something else real bad. I just run away out of the house.
Listen, there's an encyclopedia. It's still in the making. It's not been completed yet. You should read it. You know why it's not completed?
Yes.
Never mind.
But khair, let's get back to the main thing. So it goes, the other day, I just got frustrated. I was teaching somebody something and the other person wasn't getting it. And I just got so frustrated with the guy. I just like flipped it on him. And later on, there was like full remorse in my heart that I was trying to teach somebody something and like, you know, then it just didn't come out right. Because secondly, I have two main problems. My second problem is, and I can't answer the question is given this week, answer next week. Because my second problem is that I am attracted to the same sex. Because that's my second problem. This book was written how many years ago? 100 years ago. But the answer you're going to get now. Because please give me some remedy, some solution to this problem. Then Sheikh gives an answer and I start it. But inshallah, we don't have time for the answer this week. But inshallah, next week, we will provide the answer. Bi-idhnillah, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi, subhanallahi al-azim. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. Wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let's make muraqabah. Sit. Remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Close your eyes. Let's do something about the anger. The human heart is the center of all emotion. The human heart is sound, everything is sound. The human heart becomes corrupt, everything becomes corrupt. The only way that you can control the fires that burn inside is through the remembrance of Allah. Remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, focus your mind to the heart to Allah. Think that your heart is saying Allah, Allah, Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. You remember me, I shall remember you. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. برحمتك يا رب.